Hey everyone. In this episode, I'm going to be going over a practice that can help us take personal accountability and ownership in our lives. Now, this idea comes from the book, The Question Behind the Question by John G. Miller. I've used this practice now for a little bit, and it's helped me in my relationships as well as my jobs and helping me take action on the things that I've wanted to do. And so I'm going to be going over a few key takeaways that I've taken from the book, as well as some quotes that I really enjoyed. And so with that, let's get into it. Takeaway 1, IQs. Now, the author states that IQ stand for incorrect questions. And unfortunately, these incorrect questions are normally the first reaction that we have to stressful, difficult, or challenging situations. We get defensive. We start to make excuses. We start to blame or complain or procrastinate. And really all an IQ is they are questions that take personal accountability, they take ownership off the table, because normally when we're asking ourselves IQs, we are we're putting the responsibility of a problem or a situation on something or someone else. And that completely negates personal accountability. But these are practiced. These are something that we can replace. There's something that we can overcome. And we do that with the second takeaway. Takeaway 2, the QBQ. Now, this takeaway has the same name as the title, but all the QBQ is it is a tool. It's a tool that helps individuals practice personal accountability in the moment and help them make better decisions by asking themselves better questions. And so this framework is how we are able to practice ownership, practice personal accountability. And to create a QBQ, there's only 3 simple guidelines that the author points out. First point is begin with what or how, not why, when, or who. And I'll go into that in a little bit, but just remember that first point is what or how. Second point, contain an I, not they, them, we, or you. And the reason for that is because, again, personal accountability, taking ownership, is an individual process, right? We're focused on us, me, I, one person. So just second point, I. Last point, always focus on action. Action's the only thing that gets things moving. Action's the only thing that's going to, make progress, move things forward. And so again, always focus on action. And that's it. Those are the guidelines to creating a QBQ for yourself. And so remember too, I want to make note of this, is that these are questions that we ask of ourselves. They're not questions that we ask out loud to other people. Normally it's done in our heads. Some questions I've asked myself since using this practice is a few simple ones. What can I do? How can I help? How can I make this better? What can I learn? Right? These are simple questions, but if they're of use to you, take them, use them, see what happens. And with the last bit of this point, I just want to give a brief example of the difference this practice can make in your life. So some time ago, I used to work in a lumberyard. And if you ever worked outside in the winter, it sucks. It's not fun. All you want to do is get warm. You want to go home. You don't want to be there. It's miserable. It's not fun. And so we're walking around trying to stay warm, loading people's lumber up, running forklifts that aren't enclosed, just all that cold air is hitting you. It's not fun. Well, normally in that situation, I'd be thinking to myself, why are we here? This is stupid. Why did I do this to myself? Just complaining, bitching, moaning, stuff like that. Well, after reading this book, I decided to implement the process. Instead of asking those IQs, I asked myself a better question. And it was, how can I make this more enjoyable? What can I do? And so what I did, I ordered pizzas for all my guys in the yard. Why? Because it was something I could do. It was something that would make it more enjoyable. And while it didn't change the situation, right? We were still miserable. We were still cold. It did make it far more enjoyable. It changed perspective. And now, we were actually laughing, had something warm in our stomach. We weren't just, walking around hating our lives. And so just 9-day difference, right? Compared to everyone just being alone, isolated, cold, hate being there, to, oh, now we're all gathered up here, eating some pizza. Yeah, it still sucks, but it's a lot more bearable. And so 9-day difference. And it was all based off of one question. And so that is the power and the benefits of using this framework. It can help so much. Final takeaway. The reasons we don't use why, when, or who when we are creating a QBQ is because normally when we are asking questions of why, we're doing it from a place or from the perspective of like a victim, right? Asking, why me, right? You're getting this self-pity tone, or asking, why is this happening to me? Or we're coming at it from the perspective of complaining. Why can't we get better equipment? Why can't we get better people? Why don't they understand? Right? These questions, right? Maybe you're just venting your frustrations and you're just trying to, again, yeah, vent your frustrations out so you don't take it out on anybody, but they offer no solutions. They don't help anybody. And then going back to that first point, even in situations where asking why me is justified, for instance, you just lost your job suddenly. You just lost a loved one unexpectedly, or you just got diagnosed with a terminal disease. Now, these are justified. Asking why me is, of course, understandable, but it doesn't serve you. It doesn't help you. It disempowers you. It doesn't allow you to move things forward. And so you just want to be careful with asking why. Now, going on to when. The reason we don't start with when is normally when we do have questions that start with when, we're using it and we're involving other people. When will they? When will he? When will she? When will someone? Right? We're putting all the responsibility, again, of a situation or a problem on somebody else. And that negates personal accountability, that negates ownership, because again, we're focused on the individual. That's the only way that accountability and ownership can happen, is if the individual, I, take responsibility. And also, last point to that is when you are asking when questions, you're waiting for someone else to take action. You're waiting for a situation to solve itself. And so you procrastinate. And when you're asking an IQ, you don't even see the options you might have to make a situation better. You just sit and wait. And normally, that's not helping anything either. Starting a question with who, normally we are looking to blame. We are looking to have a scapegoat. Blame is probably the most counterproductive thing you can do, and possibly the worst, because it offers no solutions. It destroys relationships. It makes toxic work environments. It does absolutely nothing when you blame somebody. Even blaming yourself, right? You could make a mistake. You could have messed up, but don't constantly beat yourself up. Don't constantly torment yourself. That doesn't solve anything. Learn from it, grow from it, use it. Ask yourself instead, what can I learn from this? How can I make this better next time? Those things actually push things forward. Those things actually get some progress, allows growth, not blaming yourself. And so accountable people don't look for scapegoats. They look for solutions. So don't blame yourself and don't blame others. So those were the key takeaways I took from this book. Now, let me get into the quotes. We can't change other people. We often can't control circumstances and events. The only things we have any real control over are our own thoughts and actions. John G. Miller. Now, another quote that goes with that as well. Change only comes from the inside as a result of decisions made by the individual. What that makes me think about is that people don't change people. People change themselves. I can only change me. You can only change you. Of course, we can help, we can support, we can guide, we can teach people, but ultimately, people change themselves. They decide to change themselves. And so don't waste your time, don't waste your energy trying to change people. Focus that energy on where it can do the most good, yourself. Because again, you are the only person you can change. You are the only thing you can control, your thoughts and your actions. So don't try to change other people. Second quote, never forget, learning equals change. If we haven't changed, we haven't learned. John G. Miller. When you learn something, something should actually change, whether it is our actions, our behavior, our habits, our perspective, our beliefs. If all you're doing is constantly taking in information, whether it be from books, YouTube videos, podcasts, articles, audiobooks, whatever. If all you're doing is hoarding information and doing nothing with it, then you're not actually learning anything. If you've taken in all this information, you've taken a voracious amount of notes, but you are still in the same place that you've been since you started, you haven't learned anything. And I'm guilty of this. I've been that before. And I had to learn to take the time to make sure that I was actually having output. It's great to have inputs, and you should make sure that you are getting good inputs, good things coming in. But you also have to make sure that you are implementing what it is that you're taking, and you have to turn that into some action, some change in your life. That's the only way you can grow. That's the only way you learn. So always just remember that, to take action on the things that you're learning, because otherwise you're not changing at all. Last quote. Action, even when it leads to mistakes, brings learning and growth. Inaction brings stagnation and atrophy. John G. Miller. Taking action is better than not. Like the quote says, even when it leads us to mistakes or it leads us to a failure, at least we've learned something, right? We have learned what not to do. If we use that lesson to grow, then we have far exceeded the person that is still waiting to do something, that is afraid to move forward, to make any decision. Indecision is probably one of the worst things you can do for yourself. Just pick a direction, move towards something, because at least you're either going to learn that you like it or you're going to learn that this isn't for me. But now at least you have some clarity. That is what action provides. It provides that clarity. Inaction, it just allows you to live in your head. It allows you to make scenarios of, oh, maybe this, maybe that. Doesn't cut it. Make a decision. Move forward. Take a step towards something, and you'll be far better for it. Now to wrap this up, I invite you to consider checking out this book. I invite you to practice this framework in your own life. I spoke briefly about how it's helped me, and it's helped me in other areas too. And just remember, this is not something that is something you master. This is a lifelong practice. This framework is something that we use moment to moment. And it's okay if you find yourself falling into, moments where you find yourself complaining or making excuses. Just check yourself and come back to a QBQ, because remember, personal accountability, taking ownership of your life and taking action are the only things that are going to move you forward. Don't blame, don't complain, don't make excuses, and don't procrastinate. Take action on your life. Take action to make situations better, more enjoyable, because life's too short not to. So, with all that being said, I invite you to consider this idea. Thank you for taking the time to listen. I wish you courage. Until next time.